rocks. The following views and opinions expressed are those of the participants and not necessarily those of 96K Rock and the Beasley Broadcast Group.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get over there!
This is the Keith Hanson Show. No holds barred.
There's always a confused soul that thinks one man can make a difference, and you have to kill him to convince him otherwise.
Telling it like it is, whatever it costs.
Isn't this an indictment of our entire American society? You can do what you want to us, but we're not going to sit here and listen to you bad-mouth the United States of America. Gentlemen!
The Keith Hanson Show, featuring Smitty.
Hey, listen to this fascist gas bag.
On 96K Rock.
Hello, welcome to the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty. I'm Smitty. Welcome Republicans, Democrats, and all Americans, and even Americans. We know who you are. Welcome to the Keith Hanson Show. Like I said, I am Smitty. We will be joined by our co-host, Keith Hanson, who is in Tallahassee today due to some strange turn of events. Keith will be joining us shortly via the phone. We have a great show for you today. Phone lines are now open, 277-9600 or 775-9600. So if you have an intelligent thought or comment you would like to share with us during the show, we would love to invite you to call in and speak your mind. Please give us a call if you dare. Again, it's 277-9600 or 775-9600. A special hello to our studio guest, a lovely and always vivacious Amber has graced us with her presence. She was actually on time today. I'm stunned.
I was early.
I'm telling you.
I want an extra star for this.
You'll get an extra something. Hey, special thanks to our studio producer, Tripod Billy. He's back. He had a little problem last week. I'm glad everything worked out. We are streaming live. You can watch us at www.keithontheair.com. That's www.keithontheair.com. You are also encouraged to listen to us at 96K Rock if you can't get us there. Follow us on Facebook. You can find me at Smitty Smith on Facebook, and of course Keith Hanson. And don't forget our in-studio board op, Mr. Sick Rick, who appears with us on the air sometimes. He's a contributor, a special guest. We will have a special guest calling in, Joe Raffini. Joe Raffini is just world-renowned guy. He's a stand-up stud. Lieutenant Colonel Joe Raffini. He has written books from When Terror Comes to Main Street. He's a former Army Lieutenant Colonel. He's an expert in cyber intrusions, international terrorist plots, nuclear, biological, and chemical attacks. He's been on CNN. He's written books. I mean, this guy, if you have any questions of what's happening and what the underbelly is really thinking and what they're doing, this guy will have the answer. And I want to thank him. We'll be calling him shortly, probably about 20 after. And hopefully he's listening in. He's up out of bed, has his coffee, and he's ready to go. We have a lot to talk about today, of course. I do want to thank our sponsors, as we always do. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. Mickelson's Pastry Shop and our doggone sausages, and they're great. And matter of fact, you can find these sausages. We're going to be giving away packages of those, the pup pack and the 4-pack. Hold that up, Sick Rick. There you go. Look at that, man.
Honey rum.
100% of the after tax proceeds go to animal shelters and rescues. You cannot find a better awesome stand-up guy who's going to do this. You can find him at Sun Harvest, Skinny Pantry, Sandy Butler, Oaks Farm is carrying their product. Just a great thing, you know.
You put them on hot dogs and
you can put them on anything, ribs, you name it, man.
Okay, so it's a meat sauce.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's good. So they're hooked up and they're ready to go. And let's just get right into this thing here before you want to hear my rap? Keith actually challenged me last week to write a rap song.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, for the Mickelson's Pastry rap song.
All right, let me pop a Xanax
okay.
first. Okay, go ahead.
And I had to keep it clean, because they're good guys.
Okay.
And so
should I give you a beat?
You should do more than that. You should probably bring somebody else to do it.
A body replacement.
That's it. But this is all you get.
Okay.
It's kind of like
JP
a guy
wasn't available this morning.
Right. When you go into a date and you go, hey, this is all I got, man. All right. If you don't like it, tell me now.
Pull some tricks
we'll do some shooters and we'll leave.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Do a shot of tequila.
Right,
it's all good.
Right.
So,
you're all good.
All of our listeners, before we start,
this is from Mickelson's Pastry Shop. Okay.
Okay.
I like big buns and pastries, too. Mickelson's makes them for you. Donuts, pastries, tarts, and all. Pick 'em up the phone and give a call. Catering or just drive in. Eat 'em up, 'cause, dog, it ain't no sin. Mickelson's is easy here to stay. Business Lane, get out of my way. Next time you're looking for that treat, hit the road, big dog, and grab your seat. Mickelson's in Naples now. One big bite, and you'll say, wow.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's right.
For a white
Mickelson's
boy.
Bakery, your one-stop shop for donuts, pastries, cookies, tarts, and more. Call Mickelson's now at 239-596-5996. That's 239-596-5996. Life is short. Eat cookies.
I love it. I have to say, I'm a huge Mickelson's fan. They make the most delicious, gorgeous cakes ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm watching my girlish figure. No one else will. So it's
I'll
ugly.
watch it as I put it in my mouth.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I hear that. Okay. Well, let's
The cake.
What do we think I'm talking?
The
I'm talking
chocolate
about tarts.
cake.
Of course.
That's what I was meaning.
277-9600 or 775-9600. If you want to ask Amber about her dietary things there, give her a call.
Lord.
Let's first get into this Boston bombing marathon thing.
We got 'em.
Because we got them. It's and I'm kind of tough on the cops usually, but they really this is what we hired them for. It's what their job is. They do a great job. They work together. They didn't let this thing slip through the cracks. It was a done deal. From the minute it was over in 4 or 5 days,
Right.
and they got these guys. I don't even like to say their names.
Right.
I don't even think they deserve it. But their last name is Sanaya. Okay.
That's impressive because, those are hard.
Yeah, that's
names are
Sanaya.
hard to
I don't
miss.
even want to mention them. I'm just going to call them Thing 1 and Thing 2.
I love it.
Like Dr. Seuss. Because these guys, don't deserve any credit for anything. Of course, there were some people that died. The young boy, Richard Martin, 8. And everybody knows that, Crystal Campbell, she was 29. And, Lindsay Liu, she was in her 20s. She was a student from China. And a lot of people don't even mention the cop at MIT that got shot, Sean Collier. So
It's wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong place at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they did a great job up there in Boston. Kudos to them guys, man. You guys got the gold star on the refrigerator tonight. So
yeah, did you see the media coverage last night? There were hundreds and hundreds between ATF and CIA and FBI. Everybody was there. They were.
They did. They were amazing.
Concentrated.
And I think the break really came when they showed the pictures of the guys, and of course, the media. Let's talk about the media for a while. I'm kind of shocked, and I'm not shocked. At some point in time, the conspiracy theories have to stop, but they don't. They don't. They run rampant. And I read everything. I read everything from the left to the right to the center, and I can flip through, and I saw something on Alex Jones, and he was blaming the military, and they had military garb, and they had hand grenades, and then they're going to come, it's a right-wing supremacist thing, and they're going to do this, they're taking our guns. It's really out of control with the media.
Right.
They have, there's no more real reporting the journalistic view of what's happening anymore. It becomes more of a global inquirer. Everything is Inquirer now.
It's an opinion. I was driving here and I was listening to NPR, and on the way here they had a,
You listen to NPR?
Why do you think I'm so smart?
My gosh, you are smart. Go ahead.
But anyways, they had this, the gentleman that runs like a local Muslim group, there in Boston, and he said, us, Muslims are kind of already bracing for a backlash. And he said, when Newtown happened, we were all, they would now, but like when Newtown happened, everybody was praying, please don't let it be a Muslim. Please don't let it be a Muslim. Well, of course, right now we find out that these kids are Muslims, and they have visited what they think, Pakistan, Africa, and Southern Asia?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them over there. Right. Gastans and Kazakhstans.
That they visited and all this during the last few years.
But the Chechen, which is where they're kind of home based, if you would, that's been known for years to have this terrorist underground from Russia.
Right. So, everybody thinks the KGB, and there's kind of a quiet nation. I think, not that I think Russia is going to be coming after us. I think this is a Muslim isolated, incident. Hopefully it's a cell. But like I said, the gentleman on the way here. So anyways, the Muslim groups right now are bracing for this backlash, and they said, we can understand why, when Newtown happened, no one called that a terrorist attack, but yet now this is, being characterized as a terrorist attack. And I thought that is the most asinine thing for him to say, because classically terrorist attacks are those not of
Yeah, it's a gray area there because one of them was an actual, made a citizen, I think, and then that's what I'm hearing. And then the other one was sort of kind of here on a visa, and it was a work thing. So there's this wishy-washy visa thing, where he was
right.
But regardless, the homegrown part was from Chechnya,
right? Exactly,
and
right.
The mother came out, of course, as you would expect, defend him and said, "Oh, my son would never do anything like that."
And she has a criminal record of her own.
Yeah, and then the father comes back and says he was framed,
right,
and claims that they shot the one boy, they shut him up, and then he said, "Well, we don't know, cops haven't been known to do that, have they?" So I mean,
only in the movies,
only in the movies, and we know there's some rogue people out there,
right?
But then you start asking yourself, at what point does the media finally say, "Hey, let's stop this"? I mean, with free speech, you can't. I mean, I was watching InfoWars. I was ready to hide in my bunker without it. I don't even have yet.
You have a shovel in your building
underground.
I mean,
talk about paranoia. Good Lord Almighty.
So at night you watch Doomsday Preppers. You have everything you know what you need to do now.
Yeah.
And so now you have
I can't even afford what the Doomsday Preppers got.
Just a couple batteries and a gallon of water and you're good to go.
Yeah, and a bike.
And a bike. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just like the gunny gear where you look like a tree.
Your ghillie suit.
Yeah, that's it, my ghillie suit.
Your ghillie suit.
That's right. I think that's hot, man.
I put that on, just wear it around the house.
I just wait till people walk by and scare the crap out of people, Boom! Just joking, man.
Scare the crap out of the old ones in the neighborhood.
79600-775-9600. Give us a call. But I
mean, like someone was just telling us about Chris Matthews. I mean, he was saying that it was a right-wing, fanaticist who was doing this. I mean, it's just journalism has died, and it's all opinions now. It's based upon, it's an emotional thing for these people. It's an emotional.
Well, it's
emotionally driven.
It is, and for some reason the media doesn't walk the line anymore. They don't. Well, now I mean, we'd like to laugh, joke, drink coke in here, and horseplay, and grab this and grab that, and goof off sometimes, and we hype some stuff, because that's my nature, and we have a good time. And Keith, of course, is very, very serious, and which is great for me, because I don't want to be that serious. And but it's hard to kind of look at this thing and be subjective to it, because it's right on your home base,
right.
and people have suffered, people have died, and like you said, it's Muslims again.
Right.
It's Muslims again.
Right.
At some point in time, I don't care if you're liberal, I don't care what you are, Republican. You have to come to terms with the fact that these people, and I'll say it, are Muslims. Now, you're right. Most of the Muslims are great people.
Right. But there's a 5% in there that are the radicals, and I mean, it's like the saying goes. I mean, our police departments have to be right 100% of the time. They only have to be right 1% of the time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's just, and guess what? They got right this time, and people died and suffered for it. Which ticks me off though is with Waco just happening. You had one day of coverage, and we had 35 people die down in Waco because of that fertilizer plant blowing up, and yet that got a fraction of the coverage. Yet we have...
I have a friend of my family, not to we'll get back on that, but a friend of my family actually was working out there, and about 8 miles from where it went off. And he's actually in Florida now. He's a Florida boy. And I'm going to try to get him to call either today or next week and get his take on what that was like. But go ahead.
But I mean, the irony of it, here we have 35 people, died, 120, are severely injured and burned. I mean, if you know anything about, like, the medical field, burns are the absolute worst thing, I mean, in there. Because, I mean, they end up dying later of infection.
Absolutely.
It's not of anything. It's an infection. It's a long, painful, slow death. So, I mean, for me, I was upset that here they got maybe 5 or 6 hours, and then all of a sudden we jump back to Boston, which is fine. I understand this is a big deal, but I mean, I don't know. Let's focus on the other things that are going on in the world too.
Well,
right now.
The Muslim thing is an ugly thing, and unfortunately, it's going to start to. I don't think you've heard the end of it. I think more and more people are going to start saying, "Hey, look, like you said, come to grips with this." And people call it profiling. Is it really profiling if you're in the war with, Sweden and it's long blonde hair, blue eyed guys? What do?
Right.
You look for long blonde haired, blue eyed guys, Right. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to isolate your problems. You're trying to isolate your chances. You don't go to a horse race and put $100 on a $1 million horse that may lose. You know what I mean? You try to your odds and your chances are this is probably who you're going to have to deal with. It's guys that look like they're Muslim.
With it. But the thing is the FBI and CIA have come to terms with this profiling. They know what they're doing. I mean, we say it as on a political basis. We don't want to profile because we don't want to offend anybody.
It's a lawyer term.
But no, but I'm saying, we do. The media does it. We all do it. No one wants to offend anybody, black, white, red. But I mean, my uncle's in the FBI, and he laughs. Of course, we profile. We know the ones that are here to get us. We know the cells. We know what they're comprised of.
Well, the blacks are loving this. They're saying, thank
do you
God
think
they're not looking at us anymore.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know. We're passe. So do you think this is a cell group, though? I mean, do you think it's just two guys?
It's very, very interesting, the fact that these guys, two kids from college, MIT.
Smart guys.
One went to Dartmouth. They're smart guys. Do you really believe that they did all this on their own? It's hard to believe that they pulled off something like this. Now, granted, it's not tough to put a bomb in a pressure cooker, walk into a crowd of people, and pull the pin. That's not the tough part.
Right.
The tough part's probably building this thing, which people say you can get on the internet, which I guess you could, but who would even want to try it?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
know.
want to try
I
it.
can't even put a toy together, so I mean.
Right. A Kia's got me beat, So they got these kids, they put this stuff together. Apparently they planned this out for a while. The conflicting thing is that the web pages are saying different things. One guy says, he had friends. The other guy said he didn't have friends. These guys get in there and they walk in the crowd. They pull the bomb. They cause all this carnage, and then they can't get out of the country.
Right.
That's the part that I don't understand. These kids were smart enough to put together a bomb, smart enough to plan this attack, slick enough to get by all the cops, because there were a lot of security there.
But didn't have an end game, basically.
And got past all those security gates, carrying what they're saying the pressure cooker was with the bomb in it, 2 of them, in backpacks, and walking through a crowd of all the security, ended up pulling it off, and then left, or they say they stayed and watched for a while, which is a sick thought to begin with.
Right.
And then they couldn't get out of their own town?
It really doesn't. You're right. But obviously the 19-year-old that ended up brought into custody. I mean, if he wanted to go down in a blaze of glory, I think he probably would have shot himself. I mean, because he was already injured sitting in that boat last night.
Right,
so I mean, to me, I'm thinking, well, obviously he didn't think this part through, because
that's what I mean. Are these kids that sharp where they couldn't figure out, hey, I've got 2 choices here. My first choice is I better have a plan to be underground in Watertown, Massachusetts, or somewhere there whereabouts, and hunker down for the next 3 to 4 months, because I don't want anybody to trace me. I've got food in here. I've paid rent for 6 months. I've got all these provisions made. I've got some people that are going to help me. To have a plan would be right. Or the other choice was to get the heck out of Dodge. Right. Get your stuff, get out of there, and get moving quickly.
Get out.
And get out.
Yeah.
These guys had no plan.
Right.
But they were smart enough to pull this great thing off. You tell me. Does that sound like kids that from MIT that were that smart?
No, it doesn't. And have you seen the new reports that they pulled over, a police officer pulled over 2 guys of Russian descent, or 2 Russian nationalists, and it had 4 backpacks, they think, or bombs in Niagara Falls now. So,
you don't want to blow that puppy up.
Yeah, exactly. But they said they pulled him over, had Massachusetts license plate. So I was going to look that up today and see if that's developed any further. But, I mean, that could be a part of the cell group as well.
Well, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a terrorist and I'm doing something like that, and I got to get out of town, I'll have money. I'll have a whole array of things to do to get out of there.
Because they still could have caught a flight out. I mean, they didn't shut down. They didn't shut down flights.
Heck, they're in Canada. They could drove from Boston to Canada. What does it take? Probably 5-6 hours.
Hours across the border.
To cross the border, they didn't do anything.
Right.
So there's a lot to be said about what's going on up there. We're going to be, if you have a thought on this, give us a call 277-9600 or 775-9600. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give away some of this doggone good hot sausage.
Boy, that looks good. That honey rum.
Sauces. I'm tired this morning. But it's a pup pack. It's called a pup pack. It's got the honey rum. It's got the chipotle. It's got the pineapple honey. And it's good stuff. I tried it this week, and I did try the hot stuff too. It's hot. It's good. So if you guys we're going to make it the 6th caller that calls up right now, 277-9600 or 775-9600, that calls up and says they want this doggone sauce. Barbecue sauces to give us a call. The 6th caller calls in, and we're going to be tying it in with Joe Ruffini right after the break. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Saturday night, April 27th at Hammond Stadium. It's Stan and Haney night with the Fort Myers Miracle. Just $9.60 will get a ticket to the game and free beer until the 6th inning.
Holy cow!
Free beer, baseball, and Stan and Haney. It doesn't get more American than this. Call 768-4210 and say ahoy to get your tickets to the Stan and Haney Day with the Fort Myers Miracle. Celebrate baseball. Celebrate Stan and Haney. Celebrate America. Saturday, April 27th at Hammond Stadium. Visit 96krock.com for more.
Motorcycling, boating, golfing, you choose. There's a map for that. Hey, Southwest Florida, it's Chris from the Biker Map. That's right, the 3 lifestyles of Southwest Florida. Motorcycling, boating, and golfing. Be sure to pick up a map to direct you to the best destinations to fit your lifestyle. If you can't find one, go to thebikermap.com, theboatermap.com, or thegolfermap.com, or anywhere 96K Rock is. And don't forget, there's a map for that.
As Thomas Jefferson so eloquently stated in our Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For nearly 2 decades, Safety Signal Systems has been protecting individuals and companies throughout the Southeast, and now they introduce Safety Net, the fastest, most reliable method to transmit wireless fire alarm signals. When disaster strikes, every second counts. If you're currently relying on telephone lines, the signal could take 30 seconds or more to reach its destination if the phone line hasn't already been destroyed in a fire. Safety Net can transmit that signal in as little as 2 seconds. Learn more by calling Safety Signal Systems Incorporated at 415-0601. That's 415-0601. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your family, your possessions, and yourself with the Safety Net wireless alarm system from Safety Signal Systems Incorporated. Benjamin Franklin once said, "They that give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." For nearly 2 decades, Safety Signal Systems has been protecting individuals and companies throughout the Southeast, and now they introduce Safety Net, the fastest, most reliable method to transmit wireless fire alarm signals. If you're currently relying on telephone lines, the signal could take 30 seconds or more to reach its destination if the phone line hasn't already been destroyed in the fire. Safety Net can transmit that signal in as little as 2 seconds. Customers also save an average of $1,000 per year per monitored fire alarm system with the Safety Net radio from Safety Signal Systems, liberating clients from high telephone line charges while providing the security they deserve. Safety Net fire alarm radio from Safety Signal Systems. Learn more by calling 415-0601 or visiting safetysignalsystems.com. Safety Signal Systems Incorporated, 415-0601. License EF742.
Will these unexpected bills ever end?
Do you have bills that can't wait? Need cash now? Bring your firearms to Pine Ridge Pawn for a fast cash loan. Pine Ridge Pawn offers collateral loans on all types of firearms. Pine Ridge Pawn is a fully licensed FFL firearms dealer. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, transfer, or trade, Pine Ridge Pawn offers a wide selection of rifles, shotguns, pistols, and revolvers. Looking to obtain your concealed weapons permit? Pine Ridge Pawn offers convenient weekend CCW classes. Visit PineRidgePawn.com for a wide selection of new firearms that ship overnight with a lifetime warranty. Pine Ridge Pawn. We pay you more and treat you better. Se habla español. Pine Ridge Pawn and Jewelry. Visit us at 2033 Pine Ridge Road in Naples or online at PineRidgePawn.com.
All that's missing is your input.
I was checking the specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
Call Keith and Smitty at 239-277-9600. This is the Keith Hanson Show featuring Smitty on 96 K-Rock.
Welcome back to the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty. We have Amber in studio, and we also have a winner for the sauces that I can't pronounce.
This is
Doggone sauce. It's the barbecue sauce. We have a winner. Let's go to Toby Kimelton. Is that my pronouncing your name right?
It's Kimelton.
Kimelton. I'm sorry, my friend. Congratulations. I was just being told that the pineapple won an award down in Louisiana, which is really, really good because, I mean, it's not like it's in the middle of like Iowa or something. Down in Louisiana, they certainly know how to make some sauce down there.
But they don't have their teeth, so they...
competition down in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, man. So, and of course, all the after the market proceeds go to the animal and rescue shelters. It's just a good cause, and you'll love the sauce, man. You're going to go crazy, and you can always look for it once you have it and you'll want to try it again. Go to Sun Harvest. They have it. Skinny Pantry has it. Sandy Butler has it. Oaks Farm in Naples has it. So you can find it other places as well. And I want to thank you for calling and listening to the show.
All right, man. The way you described it, it sounds like it would go really good with Budweiser.
Yeah, that's right. Then you can get your AK and shoot some cans.
Oh, there ain't no AKs around here.
All right, my friend. Well, thanks, hang on, and Billy will take care of you and show you where to pick it up and whatnot.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, partner. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
We're going to get Mr. Joe Ruffini on here. Joe, of course, like I said, Joe Ruffini is the man. He knows. He wrote a book on When Terror Comes to Main Street. He's got all kind of accolades, just longer than my arm. Cyber intrusion, international terrorist plots, nuclear, biological, chemical attacks. I mean, Joe is the man. Joe, are you there?
I am. Good morning, Keith and Smitty.
Oh, well, Keith's in Tallahassee right now, but he wanted to send his thank you for coming on. We have Amber, which she's a lot better than both of us put together. So,
hey, Joe, how are you?
Stop flirting with him, okay?
I'm doing well, Amber.
Watch her, man. She's dangerous. She's one of those. She's one of those plants, you know.
I'm harmless.
Looks like that Russian undercover agent.
Dangerous women are no threat.
That's cool. Well, Joe, I got to get your take on what's going on out there. Do we have something to worry about, or what, man?
Well, it all depends. Hopefully they'll be able to interrogate Zohar Zarniev, but this is probably one of two things. Either for whatever reason these two Chechen brothers were self-motivated to kill, or they were part of an extended plot. I'm hoping that they just took it among themselves to do this, and that we find out there's really no connection to a formal terror group such as Al-Qaeda. But
it looks that way, Joe.
What's that?
It looks that way. I mean, I don't know if they are. You don't know if they are. But if a guy comes from Chechnya, is predominantly Muslim, you got to figure if it walks like a duck, sounds like a duck, it's going to be a duck.
Well, when the breakaway Republic of Chechnya, for years they battled the Russian Federation, and the Chechen Islamists are some of the most ruthless and hardcore fighters in the world. And our State Department granted thousands and thousands of visas to Chechens under the guise of refugee from a war zone. And to be honest with you, Smitty, I don't think the vetting process, at least for my contacts in the Department of the State, it was more political, and I'm not sure the vetting process was probably as thorough as it could be. But when the State Department let these Chechens, quote, flee, unquote, Chechnya during the war, I'm absolutely convinced that a lot of the Islamists that were fighting the Russian Federation, ended up in the United States. And, really, the way to look at this, I think, is if these two alleged killers did that bombing just because they wanted to, kill Americans with no political or religious purpose, then that would, it's terrorism, but they would turn out to be just very violent, common criminals. If they did it because of their radical ties to Islam or their sympathy to a terror group such as Al-Qaeda, then that's clearly an act of Islamist terrorism. But, the jury's still out. I think if this man is able to be interrogated over time, they'll probably get to the bottom very, very quickly as to, the reason why. But I think we got to give a lot of credit to the law enforcement community and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I talked to my brother-in-law yesterday who lives in Boston, and he said, businesses were closed down, people couldn't go into work, they were losing money, and he said not one complaint from anybody that he knew. He said that, collectively they said, you got to get this SOB, and if it means we don't make money and need to stay in our homes, so be it. So, the resolve of the people of Massachusetts was just phenomenal, I think, in this case.
Absolutely, and you wouldn't expect that, you wouldn't expect any less. Everybody wants to get this guy, and these guys stepped up there, and everybody pitched in, and that's where it all came together. Everybody knew that they had to sacrifice, and they did, and they got this guy. But on the long term now, you got a lot of people saying, wait a minute, man, there's too many ties to this Muslim again. It's the Muslims again. I don't care whether they come from Syria, Pakistan, or where have you. These guys are still Muslims, and we're getting a little tired of the old give the Muslims a pass again. People are a little sick of it.
Well, but Smitty, let's make a distinction here, okay? These are Islamists, which are among a very, very, very small minority of Muslims worldwide that have turned to the dark side. So I would rather we talk about the Islamists, that a handful of Muslims that happen to turn to the dark side instead of generalizing, because we talked about this before. The vast majority of the 1.8 billion with a B Muslims in the world are just as peaceful and live and let live as you or I or most Christians or Jews or whatever. So, I would rather not generalize. We're talking about the Islamists who are terrorists who just happen to follow Islam as their religion. So, I think we need to make the distinction here, partner.
Well, Joe, I have a question for you. I know the news at one point covered that they were saying, since this was so close to the April 21st date of where the Chechnyan leader was killed, the rebel leader was killed many years ago, that they thought that this maybe was like a prelude leading up to something bigger on the
celebratory thing.
Yeah, on the 21st. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, it very well could be. The jury's still out on all the possibilities, but, really when you boil it down, here's what I think. It's got to be one of a few possibilities. Either they did this, either they were what we call sleeper cell members in that, and I'll give an example. I'm not saying they were tied to Al-Qaeda, but the Al-Qaeda training manual has told their sleeper cell members, whether you're in the United Kingdom, France, the United States, you go to that country, you blend in with the country, you be the best worker, you be the best neighbor, you be the best student, you be friendly to everybody, and you lay low. And then when it comes time to do the deed, then you pop up and do the deed, and every time these guys are arrested or taken out, and you interview their neighbors where they lived in the neighborhood always say, oh, they were great neighbors, they never had loud parties, they were very polite. That's the way they're trained to do. So if they were part of a terrorist group such as Al-Qaeda, and then popped up and did this, that would make them sleeper cell members, and those are the most dangerous. The second scenario is based on whatever religious reasons, political reasons, they took it upon themselves to identify with the cause of Islamism, what groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and Al-Qaeda are trying to achieve, and the two brothers decided to do this act on their own as kind of like individually with the terrorist cause. That's the second, reason why they might have done it. And the third reason, which I think is the most unlikely, is they just went out and did what we would consider a heinous criminal act. For whatever reason, they decided to kill a bunch of people with no ties to radical Islam or terror or anything else. So it's going to be one of those three scenarios, and I'm pretty sure if he's alive and if he can talk and if he can be interrogated, that within the next 2 or 3 days, we'll probably know what the motivation was, and it could very well be, in memory and celebration of that particular Chechen leader's death at the hands of the Russian soldiers. The jury's still out, but it can only be one of those couple of scenarios, I think.
Speculate.
Well, if you have a call, give us a call, and you can talk to Joe online, actually. We can put you on the phone, 277-9600 or 775-9600.
Well, my other question, follow-up, was that with Joe, was the Niagara Falls. They pulled over a car that had two Russian nationalists, and as of they thought was, a suspect bomb in there. When you're talking about sleeper cells, one, if that's the case, and this is, say, a part of a larger, we don't know yet, but I'm saying hypothetically, if this was a part of a larger sleeper cell, and the two gentlemen pulled over in Niagara Falls were a part of that. Joe, how many sleeper cell groups do we know of estimated that are in the United States right now?
Amy, that's an excellent question, and the honest answer is nobody really knows, and that's why they call them sleeper cells. The federal government, federal law enforcement, in fact, law enforcement at all levels, if the average American knew how many terror plots are uncovered every week or every month, little ones, big ones, they would be absolutely amazed and proud at the capability we have. Now, when it comes to sleeper cells, the reason why these are so dangerous is because if somebody's just living a normal life for 1, 2, 3, 4, in the case of these two marathon bombers, 10 years or more, and then all of a sudden, execute a plot, that's very, very hard to trace. Let me give you an example. You remember the the failed SUV bomb in Times Square several years ago?
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This was a Pakistani American, had a master's degree, had a wife, had a kid, identified with the terrorist cause, with Islamism, went over to Afghanistan for a few weeks of explosives training. Al-Qaeda gave him about $12,000. He came back, he bought the SUV, he bought the supplies, put it together, and one day just parked the car in Times Square. And that's an example of what the FBI and other law enforcement agencies would tell you, just one that got under the wire. Nobody knew this guy was a terrorist. Nobody knew he had gone for training. And until that street vendor in New York called a cop and said, hey, I think there's something suspicious going on with this car, nobody had ever heard of him. Nobody ever knew. So how many sleeper cells and how many sleeper cell members are in the United States? Virtually it's impossible to tell. And this is why, and Smitty and I have talked about this before, that's why it's so important for all of us, not to be paranoid, but to be vigilant. When we go to a public event, we just need to keep our eyes and ears open. And I'll tell you, in this day and age, the fact that every trash can or mailbox near that finish line wasn't being watched by somebody, I think is inexcusable. When you have a large public event, you have to watch every receptacle in the area, and if people had been aware and they had known in this day and age, I just need to keep my eyes and ears open for something that might be unusual. I guarantee you, if the level of awareness among us Americans was where it should be, with as many people that were at that finish line, somebody would have noticed immediately when those backpacks were dropped.
Right.
And gone and got a cop. We just don't have the awareness to where it needs to be in this country to keep the injury and the death toll down when these dastardly deeds happen. Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely. Joe, let me ask you, not to jump back on a couple of things. You mentioned something really sparked my interest, was the vetting process. You were talking about, these people that come in, they just are allowed to come in here. And, I don't want to say it's any, political, Democrat, Republican, this president, that president, but how long has this been really kind of be deficient, this whole system?
Well, we have a problem with some of the immigrants that come over here from the former Soviet Union, and there's three types that law enforcement is dealing with now. In a lot of American cities, you have the Russian mafia, which is getting stronger. Mm-hmm. You have a separate mafia, which is called the Chechen mafia. Then you have some of the folks that have immigrated to this country, which really are Chechen Islamists. What you have to realize is that at the turn of this century, there were only three places really where new terror recruits, especially those to the likes of Al-Qaeda, could go to get bloodied and get their combat experience. They either fought in Afghanistan, they fought in Iraq, or they fought in Chechnya. And those were the three proving grounds where these young terror recruits went. So, in the world, it was Afghanistan, Iraq, and Chechnya, where Al-Qaeda recruits were sent to get their combat experience and to get, quote, the thrill and adventure of combat. So when you have an entire breakaway republic like Chechnya, which basically the fighting forces were controlled by the Islamists, by the terrorists against the Russian Federation, and then all of a sudden, again, under the banner of, they're war refugees, you start letting family and friends from Chechnya migrate to the United States. We both know that sometimes the political pressure, the agreements at very high levels between two countries, somebody says, look, you're going to let in X amount of thousands of Chechens, and you're going to give them green cards, and really the State Department, it does like every other government agency does, Smitty, it does what it's told. So, a lot of times the system isn't perfect, and we really have no idea how many of these Chechens that we let into the country may have been turned to the dark side a long time ago. So it is what it is. It's a big country. I think part of our heritage is we need to have that whole Ellis Island, open your arms and hearts to foreigners. I mean, immigrants have made this country great. They always have, and they always will. But like I said, we're over 300 million people in this country, and there's going to be a couple of bad apples that come in under the wire. And what happened in the last week is just a perfect example.
Yeah, well, the awareness, you're right. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was up in New York City for like a New Year's Eve and all. He said they take the trash cans, they either block them off, they bolt stuff down, they take them off the street, they move things around. So this activity can't be disguised, you know, and how some kid could just swing in there, do all this under the radar is just, it's mind-boggling. You know?
It sounds like it had to be set up there.
This is what I'm saying, Smitty, with all those people out there, and again, we have no awareness program for American citizens. You know, we have no ads that come on TV regularly. Now, we have what the Department of Homeland Security says, if you see something, say something, which is a great motto. But, you know, during primetime TV in the evenings, I'd like to see some 30-second spots presented by the Department of Homeland Security that show exactly that. They show a crowd, they show a guy dropping a backpack and walking on, and they show a guy saying to his girlfriend, "Hey, did you see that? That guy just dropped a backpack. Let's get a cop." You know what I'm talking about?
Then it becomes a legal problem because the guy say, "I had no reason to get pulled over." You know, you grab my knapsack bag. I'm going down the street. You find an ounce of weed. Next thing you know, the guy's busted. You know, it becomes a real legal thing here, man.
Well, you know, yeah, but in this day and age, Smitty, I got to tell you, in this day and age, I really feel in any major American event, if you see somebody drop a bag or a backpack or something and just keep walking, and you get a cop and you say, "Look, this is what I saw." I mean, you know, you don't know the guy, you don't know the name, you just witnessed an act,
right?
You know, that is in this day and age very threatening and
suspect,
very suspicious.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Look at all the people there that were at the finish line. Are you telling me that if there wasn't a basic level of awareness in this country, that when they dropped those packs, somebody wouldn't have seen it? My God.
Yeah, they had pictures of the backpack on the other side of the guardrail, and then they have another picture of it inside the guardrail. Somebody would have said something, you would have thought. I don't know.
I mean, they're drinking, last thing on their mind.
It's in an airport. You know, if you travel regularly like I do, I mean, people in airports are pretty aware. And why? Because every minute some voice comes over the loudspeaker that says, if you see a package or something suspicious, notify law enforcement or TSA. And the entire time you're in the airport waiting for your airplane, you got this annoying voice telling you every couple of minutes, look for stuff. So when you walk around the airport, you're looking for stuff. Now, how about if at a public event like the marathon, we had some speakers out there, and every 5 or a nice, calm voice came in and said, "By the way, if you see anything suspicious, a package or a satchel that's not accompanied by a person, please notify a member of law enforcement." Now, at big public events, if we just had that going every 5 or 6 minutes, what would that hurt?
Well, Joe, I mean, my feelings are to this, is we live in a generation that's completely desensitized by what, you know, when you shoot a gun, what happens, you know, like our parents and our grandparents. But when our parents and grandparents were growing up, you know, you'd go out, you know, you'd cut the pig's neck, you saw the blood. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They understood what happened when you harmed another living thing. And I think we're so desensitized between the movies and the video games, and I hate to say that I put a lot of the blame on that, but, you know, I had posted some of the pictures on Facebook because I wanted people to see, you know, the aftermath of what actually happened to these, you know, Boston Marathon runners. This is a war zone. It was exactly that. And I can honestly say I've never had a backlash. I mean, it's the same images that were going on. Of course, it was probably the whole picture, but I mean, it was just like, you need to see this is what it looks like. And what kills me, though, is if I were to put pictures of, say, Vietnam up there, no one would say it's a darn thing.
Well, I know Keith would argue the point that, and we talked about today, that he said he didn't particularly like the fact that they showed all that gruesomeness, all the blood.
But people need to see that, though.
I kind of lean in your favor on this one.
I think if they
I know he disagrees, but you know, like it's kind of like war. You know how you get war pictures?
I don't disagree. I agree 100% with Amy. I get really aggravated when the press says we're not going to show you some of the pictures because they're so graphic. That's BS. You show the American public what happens when things like this happen, and then you tell Americans, if you don't want this to happen to your 8-year-old and the people that you love,
you take the necessary precautions.
My God, when you go out there, you keep your eyes and ears open, and if you see something suspicious, you report it. The problem in this country is they don't want to put the pictures up there, and I think they should say, look, the following pictures are graphic, but they're real, and we're going to show them, so if you need to leave the room or cover your eyes, do it now. because here's the realities of what happens when people don't pay attention to what's going on around. I agree 100% with Amy.
But those same people are sitting there playing video games, shooting, you know what I'm saying, shooting the other characters in the game, and that doesn't faze them at all.
I think if more people saw, like the war pictures, for example, if more people saw this, they would realize what it really is about. Right. The repercussions, the effects, and the damage and the collateral damage, all around, they would see it for what it really is, not just a homogenized, squeaky clean vision of what people want to homogenize and show us on TV or radio. Joe, can you hold on a second? I'm going to take a call here. I got a caller on line 1. It's Paul on line 1, and Paul's going to probably have a comment or maybe a question for you. Go ahead, Paul. You there?
Yeah, good morning, Keith. Good morning, Smitty.
Go ahead, Paul.
Smitty today.
What's up, Milton, Paul?
I see the same liberal idiot just new radio show.
Thank you for your compliment. I just consider the source.
Oh, by the way, Smitty, just for your sake, the Ricin guy recently, the brothers, all Obama followers, all Democrats.
Oh,
I just want to point that out.
That's what it is. You hear that, Joe? That's what I got to deal with.
Yeah, I know, Smitty. My sympathies go out to you, man. Just drink heavily. You can deal with it.
Well, Paul, at the beginning of the show, you hear I said if you have an intelligent conversation you want to talk about, what's your comment?
Well, actually, I have a real job, so I wasn't listening to the beginning of the show.
Okay, what was your major comment besides bashing Obama?
Well, without bashing Obama, I'll go to what Keith was just talking about regarding the graphic pictures. If you really want to try to curb violence in our society, we need to go back to the old days where if somebody's convicted of a crime, let's skip through the court hearings, take them to a public execution, murder, kill them right on the spot in front of everybody, let everybody come and see, sell popcorn and candy, and maybe that'll cut crime.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, Paul. Do you believe it's a conspiracy?
Do I believe that something's going on? Yeah. When Glenn Beck came on and said that he has information that the government needs to come forward and come clean on the false flag part of this investigation, as far as the bombing, whether the government supplied these guys with explosives or trained these guys. The FBI does all kinds of shady stuff that none of us ever know about, and honestly, we may not need to know about it.
Joe, what do you think?
If the government was involved in this, they need to come clean, because if they don't, Glenn Beck and the other sources out there are going to provide proof to show the government was involved.
What do you think, Joe?
Two brothers operating alone.
Joe, respond to that.
I think guys like Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity are fear mongers. I said what they try and do is they try and stir up the blood, keep their ratings up. And
I think you're wrong.
The bottom line is
Glenn Beck has been right on more than one occasion when it comes to a lot of our national issues. So if you're going to say he's wrong now, go ahead and place your bet now, because come Monday, you put your money where your mouth is, Keith. I'll put my money with Glenn Beck over Keith Hanson any day. Glenn Beck's got a proven track record.
Well, thanks for calling, Paul.
And that's the great part of the United States of America. You can put your money wherever you want, sir, and more power to you. And I absolutely respect your opinion. But if you're gonna bash President Obama, go on Google and do a little research. The first thing he did when he got into office the first time is he called in the director of the CIA and he said, "I want these drone strikes." He said, "I want these guys dead." And if you Google how many terrorists were killed by drone strikes in the 8 years of the Bush administration and how many were killed in the first 4 years of the Obama administration, you would be shocked to find out that more than 4 times the terrorists that Bush killed in his entire 8 years were killed by Mr. Obama and his CIA operations in the first 2.5 years. Now, Obama does not flout the fact that really there's a lot of hawk in him. But my contacts within the intelligence community, first elected, has said, and he doesn't publicize this, he got a hold of the director of CIA, and he basically said, "I want these guys dead. You figure out how to do it."
Hey, Joe, hold on.
One at a time, and I don't give a damn how many missiles it takes or what it costs. We're going to kill these guys one by one, and we're going to make Al-Qaeda combat ineffective. So there's a lot of things about the Obama administration that I don't like. Frankly, I don't like the left or the right. The only reason why I vote for one politician is they're less bad than the other guy. But having said that, before you start bashing the president, do a little research, and what you'll find out is he is an absolute hawk when it comes to the war on terror, and most Americans don't know that, sir.
Hey, real quick, Joe, hang on. I got one more quick call we're going to take. Victoria is on line 2. She may have a comment or a question to ask you. Go ahead, Victoria.
Hi, Smitty. It's Victoria. How you doing?
Hey, Victoria. How you doing, hon?
Good. Hi, Amber.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to say I have to totally disagree with you about showing all the pictures with the bombings. I thought it was really distasteful, and it made my stomach churn just to see it, and I know what it looks like. You know, we've all seen horrible pictures of bloodied people. I don't think, as a respect to the victims, I think it's horrible that they put them on. And I think it's just, if it bleeds, it leads, and that's just how the media is, and I think it's gross.
Well, let me ask you, Victoria, I mean, do you see pictures of, say, World War I, World War II, Vietnam? I mean, do you have that same stomach-churning feeling when you see those pictures?
Absolutely. I don't watch, like, gory movies. I don't like to see it. I know what it looks like. You know, we've all seen it. We've had to see it. We've been exposed to it. But I don't go out looking for it. And maybe it's just me, but I think that's the way we should be because we have become desensitized to it, like you said. And I feel like if we see it one more time, especially the victims, I mean, these people just got killed. They got hurt. Why are we putting it on television? I don't want to see that. Well,
maybe if you see it enough, even though you don't like it, it will motivate you to really step up and do something other than just go, ooh, I don't like it.
Exactly.
Well, what should I do exactly?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, if you don't like the media, you can write to the publishers. You can start a grassroots activation thing. There's a whole bunch of different angles.
Well, there is something that I do. I don't watch the television, and I do not watch the news programs because either if it's Fox or if it's CNN, they all have their private agendas, and they're all trying to twist everything, and it's like you said earlier, it's an opinion. It's not even the facts anymore.
And it seems like Joe was saying, the left, they are going to listen to MSNBC or whoever they are over there, and the right's going to listen to Glenn Beck and Alex Jones and Infowars, and there's these guys are in the business of stirring up the hate, the monger, the fear, and it sells ratings. Hey, Victor, I'm going to let you go. We got a quick hard break coming up.
Thank you for calling.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling. Stay tuned and call back again. Joe, can you hold on for a sec while we take a break?
No problem, Smitty.
All right, Joe, hold on. We'll be right back.
96 K-Rock goes live. 4 stages and 4 bands equals 2 hours of kick-ass rock and roll.
Saturday night.
K-Rock Live. K-Rock Live.
Saturday night. Brought to you by the Purple Ringer.
On 96 K-Rock and 96krock.com.
A crime is committed against an individual every 30 seconds. Some are devastating and leave you traumatized. Protecting yourself is vital for survival. Know the law and the tactics necessary to survive a violent attack. Protect yourself and your family. On-Site Tactical Training Institute has certified law enforcement instructors who can teach you the proper way to legally carry a concealed firearm. We offer training programs for the Florida Concealed Weapons Permit, as well as tactical firearms handling and shooting programs for handguns, shotguns, and defensive rifle. Our reality-based firearms training program features live action scenarios to help you shorten your reaction time and improve your tactical skills. Get trained today the right way. Call On-Site Tactical Institute right now at 239-247-5585 or visit us on the web at www.ostti.com. On-Site Tactical Training Institute. Get trained. Be prepared. Feel confident. And win. Protect yourself against the bad guy.
Attention boat owners. Maximize your boat's fuel efficiency and performance by having your vessel's hull, propellers, and running gear cleaned the right way the first time around. Diversified Diving Services of Southwest Florida, the region's leading commercial diving services provider, offers hull cleaning and maintenance packages for vessels ranging in size from 25 feet to 100 feet and up. Trust us to be your underwater specialists. Diversified Diving Services. Give us a call today at 239-628-3483 or find us on the web at diversified-diving.com. Somewhere in America, a heart attack occurs once every 20 seconds. 75% of all heart attacks occur inside the home. Statistics show that performing CPR can triple a victim's chances of survival while waiting for paramedics to arrive. For American Heart Association CPR, first aid, and AED training, turn to CPR Works for your initial training and biannual certifications. Call CPR Works today at 888-277-8254 or visit them on the web at cprworksfl.com. That's cprworksfl.com. Group rates and corporate discounts apply. CPR Works and you. Together, we can keep the beat pumping.
From the huge studios, WRXK, Bonita Springs, Naples, Fort Myers, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, 96K Rock, and 96krock.com. Talk that rocks.
Now, more of the Keith Hanson Show, featuring Smitty.
There's always a confused soul that thinks one man can make a difference, and you have to kill him to convince him otherwise. That's the hassle with democracy.
Call Keith and Smitty at 239-277-9600. This is the Keith Hanson Show, featuring Smitty on 96K Rock. Talk that rocks.
All right. Welcome back to the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty. Phone lines are open, 239-277-9600 or 775-9600. We have our always lovely and vivacious Amber with us.
Good morning, all.
And we have a special guest with us today, joining us, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, I guess, Joseph Ruffini, who's, of course, the expert at when terror comes to Main Street.
I owe Amber an apology. When you introduced her prior to us going on the air, after 20 years around guns in the Army and 41 years with the same woman, I've got so much noise in my ears. They're not what they used to be. And I heard Amy and not Amber. So, Amber, my sincere apology.
No worries, Joe. I've been called worse, so we're good. Amy's
Even
fine.
Smitty, I initially got his name wrong, and I won't pronounce it on the air because it's not proper.
Thank you, Joe.
He still gets called that, funny enough.
It sounds
I
like
reckon he does, but not on the air by you or me.
Right, exactly.
Hey, for $50, you can call me anything. But yeah, absolutely. Thanks for holding on. And for those of you that are just joining us, we were talking about.
Hey, can I make a comment on what Victoria said before we went to the hard break?
Sure, absolutely.
And I really admire her, respect her opinion. But see, here's the thing. Let me give you an example. We got a war in Afghanistan that there's no way in hell we can win. We got Americans being killed and maimed there every day. And, we go out on our back deck on a Sunday evening. We throw a steak on the grill. We pop a cold beer. And we don't even think about it. And I think if we started really showing pictures of the horror of that war, it would be hard to ignore during the times when we're really enjoying this great American life, that we got men and women downrange, making huge sacrifices for a cause that absolutely can't be won. And I think these images need to be shown.
Absolutely.
Because we as Americans living the good life back here, we need something that sticks in our heads so we know every day that we got to put pressure on politicians, and we got to write letters, like you said, Smitty, and we got to send emails.
It starts with the grassroots.
Truth, justice, in the American way.
Yeah, it starts with the grassroots. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people, like you said, are preoccupied with their lives, and that's understandable. People are trying to make a living, pay their bills, raise their kids, go to the store, just trying to go through their day-to-day life. They don't want to be messed with. And the politicians, and I mean, Amber will tell you that I'm the first one to tell you that I think the GOP is being obstructionist. I don't think that they're working with anybody, and she'll batter with me different, and she'll say, no, they're just doing their job. But
I think they're equally. I mean, I agree with Joe on this one. I mean, like I said, my family's all in the Democratic politics. I mean, I think they're equally corrupt. And if they probably heard me talking right now, I'd probably be taken out back and lashed. But it's the truth. I mean, I think both sides just have an equal agenda. But getting back to the images being shown, I mean, my husband's from Vietnam, came over during the Vietnam War. I mean, he was in a refugee camp for 2 years in Korea. So it's one of those things. Like when the images came on, one woman made a comment, "You wouldn't show your children these images," and I said, just the contrary. I have showed my son these images because I want my son to know, when you shoot a gun, when you place a bomb, it's not like it is on a video game. Of course,
it's not like the Road Runner where the bomb hits up and they go, beep, and it takes off down the road.
Yeah, I mean, there's consequences to what happens, and I want him to thoroughly understand, because we don't let him do the video games, but I want him to understand that there are consequences to these things, and I want him to understand, what the most recent wars, sure.
So
what it's set into motion for, families.
Well, I'm still kind of concerned about the sleeper cells. There's no way to tell, like Joe was saying.
Yeah.
That's really scary, Joe. I don't know, how do you, now you start to get into, do you allow the government, which everybody, of course, doesn't trust now, do you allow the government to start weeding through and actually looking at people and saying, hey, we got to start doing maybe some covert operations? In-house.
When it comes to sleeper cells, this is when the FBI has said, they said this a couple of days ago. They said for the entire existence of the FBI, we've always relied on the American public to assist us, whether we're looking for public enemy number one or the guy that was laying bleeding in the boat yesterday. The federal authorities want Americans to take an active part in their own defense and in their own law enforcement. And this just gets back to, I hate to say the government does anything really well, but the Department of Homeland Security, really, it only took them 11 years to do it, but if you see something, say something. And that's the key. In this day and age, if anything looks out of the ordinary, my God, grab a cop. And, again, cops are not going to look at you and say, hey, what'd you waste my time for, man? No, they're going to look at you by and large, unless you get somebody that doesn't get it, and they're going to say, hey, thank you for calling us. And thank you for pulling me off the street. I mean, a cop would much rather a citizen pull them aside and say, hey, look, I saw a dude drop this satchel. The cop can clear the area. He can call the EOD bomb squad. A cop would much rather get a proactive notification from a citizen than have to call and say, look, a bomb just went off. There's body parts and dead people all around, and this is not a good situation. I mean, it just makes sense. But what we got to figure is there's many more eyes and ears at any event in this great country of ours among people attending than there are among the couple of cops comparative to the population that are there. And really, in this day and age, the responsibility to identify these sleeper cell members when they come forward like they did last week, these two alleged guys, and do something like this, the onus is on us as Americans who are there to notice when something goes wrong. And I'll be honest with you, if we don't have our eyes and ears on and we can't be cops, they call responders because something happens, you call them, and they respond.
Right.
We as citizens have to be what I call first preempters.
Right.
We're the ones that have to see the suspicious activity, call the first responder, and get his or her butt on the scene before the bomb goes off. And that's really going to be the challenge as long as we're dealing with global terrorism. And let me tell you, it ain't going to go away in our lifetime.
Joe, let me take a call here from Kelly from Lehigh on line 1. Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What's going on, hon?
Well, I was just thinking about the graphic pictures and everything because someone put it on my Facebook news feed, so I kind of had no choice but to look at it. I think it was a photo of Jeff Bowman, the young man who lost his leg.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it was shocking, and I think a lot of that also, it feeds into the anxiety that Americans are already feeling anyway. So, the pharmaceutical companies are going to make a fortune.
Well,
I
don't think that was the angle, but they will. I mean, everybody benefits from war. Unfortunately, there's always companies whether it's Halliburton or prosthesis or whatever, somebody benefits.
It is, and it's just sad that it has to be that way. But
do you have kids?
I do. I have a 10-year-old, and I wouldn't show him that because just with him watching the news and everything, he kept asking a lot of questions. And he even had a hard time sleeping. He had a hard time sleeping, and he kept asking, is that going to happen here?
Well, that's kind of young. 10 years old, I agree, is probably kind of young to show a kid that kind of, damage and collateral, and it's just terrible.
10 years old is definitely too young. But let me ask you a question, ma'am. Having seen the graphic images, a gentleman that lost his legs, when you go to a public event with your 10-year-old son, will that make you not more aware of your surroundings? Will there not be a little voice in the back of your mind saying, I need to stay alert because I'm here with my little boy and I don't want anything to happen to him?
Oh, well, I've always been alert anyway. I was actually in Oklahoma City on 9/11. I was in college back then. And so everything down there, because of what happened with the Oklahoma City bombing years ago, I just remember the feeling on 9/11, even in Oklahoma City, even though it didn't happen there. So every time something happens, every time I'm in public in a crowd, I'm always aware of my surroundings. So even with him,
and that's outstanding. And when you look at unfortunate incidents like happened at the Boston Marathon, the other thing you can do to keep yourself and your son safe is, if you go to public events, don't stand at the start line and don't stand at the finish line. Because when these guys blow bombs up, they're looking for maximum carnage, and that's going to be where the majority of the crowd is. So there's some things we can do with our families and friends that in this day and age just make sense. Don't stand. where the majority of people are going to be, and you probably are going to be safer.
Well, thank you, Kelly, for calling in. Joe, hold on a second. We're going to take another call. Sure. And you're right. She is a young kid.
I disagree.
10 years old, though. That's 10, man. That's 10.
No, I did because
you're the parent.
But like I said, we study this stuff. We study World War II and Vietnam, and I mean, he loves this stuff. So,
right.
Like I said, I want him to understand,
well,
and he does.
At 10 years old, he'll get shocked. That's no doubt about it. Let's take a quick call from Robert on in Fort Myers line 2. Robert.
Yeah, well, a couple things, I guess. Used to be a time where you helped your neighbor. Now you don't even know who he is.
Amen to that.
There was a thing called doing your civic duty. Better safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The way things are now, these people that I've been hearing talking, I don't want to see the pictures or whatnot. If some are saying people are becoming desensitized to it. You kind of have to show that stuff, and you don't even really hear about the wars we don't hear too often about the guys that are coming home, soldiers,
Yeah.
Right.
The way the media covers things, I mean, more people are watching these stupid reality shows. What happened to the sequester and everything? No, we were watching this woman who stabbed her husband. That was the top billing.
And the Kim Kardashians.
And just as a public service announcement, because I hear the one lady there, her husband was a veteran. I myself was a Marine Corps veteran. The
Thanks for
gentleman
serving,
on the
my
other
friend.
line. That flag means a lot, especially to those of us that have served, because we were willing to put our life on the line. And those people out there with their barbecue grill, having a nice weekend and everything, it's people like that have been in the service, people that throughout the history of our nation that have died to make it the great nation that it. Well,
the sacrifices, you're right.
We're kind of teetering. That red, that's the blood that was shed. And you're better off just not even having that flag on the pole if it's going to be all tattered and torn. Because for me as a veteran, when I ride by and I see that, it's like a slap in my face,
Well, Robert, I can tell you.
Hot dog with your tattered flag,
The young kids nowadays don't have that patriotic
love for
fever.
country.
They don't have that fever for love for country. They don't have that sacrifice in them. And maybe it is because they're reading so much misinformation on the internet now.
Well, you look at these video games a lot of them play. I mean, you want to talk about desensitizing. My son plays them. But he's going to join, not yet, but he's wanting to join in the services later on. But they get like so many lives, I mean, they're graphic. But when my son's playing, I'm like, see, you're dead, son.
Yeah.
Well, I got 3 more lives.
Can I go outside and play?
Yeah.
Right.
They don't even think about it. You're right.
Yeah.
And that's what killed me, is that if the same people that were saying saying really awful, calling me names and saying take that awful stuff down, and I'm thinking, you're the same one that'll, get off Facebook and go play a video game, and what I'm saying, like you said, go through 8 lives and not think a darn thing about it, or watch a Quentin Tarantino film, which we all know those are
which
just
I do
like,
love. I love them.
Oh God, those
I'm
are so
addicted to Quentin Tarantino, man.
disgusting.
He's a genius.
He's
a genius, though.
Things of this country and why people, are willing to die for this country, servicemen and whatnot, is freedom. And you have the freedom to change that knob.
I got you, my friend. Well, thanks. Hey, Rob.
See the picture, don't look.
That's right, Rob. Thank you for calling, my friend, and special thank you for service. Absolutely. Hold on, Joe. I want to take a call from Jerry. He's on line 3. Jerry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on, my friend?
Not much. We're pretty uninvolved, uninterested, self-important country now, and Facebook, nothing good happens on Facebook. It's a waste of time. But as far as seeing these images, we should see every night on the 6 o'clock news, the caskets coming back. It needs to be jammed down our throat. We need to be whipped into shape and get interested in promoting this country, supporting this country, and taking care of ourselves. And it makes me want to scream every time I hear people talk about stuff like that.
And that starts from the ground up. That starts from the guy in the street. That starts from corporations. Because I'm telling you, I'm heavy on corporations that are not. They're not even concerned with the welfare of this country. They'll sell us out in a minute.
But if the people demand it, the corporations have to go where the people demand. So if we
corporations,
demand,
you know what they say? They say, "Oh, we're obligated by our own stock, holders that we have to make a profit," and they use it as an excuse to sell this country out.
We drive the stock.
It's disgusting.
We, the people, drive the stock. So if we demand it.
But see, here's the thing. I mean, we'll you know, and I say we, you know, the American people, you know, we'll stick our support the troops sticker on our foreign-made car and think we're doing something good, and then haul your ass down to Walmart and support communism financially every single solitary day. We don't want it here, but if it's going to save you on a pair of shoes and a pack of tube socks, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not your kids making that stuff for these corporations. We need to wake up real fast. We've given this country away. Corporations have jeopardized our standing in this world for profit. Everything's okay if there's a profit attached to it. And that's what's wrong right now.
Well, Jerry, I appreciate your call, my friend, and your comments, heartfelt. You were talking about the caskets. Nobody can talk about it more than Joe. Joe, you were actually there when he brought some of them.
I'll tell you what, I think this gentleman has an excellent idea, and as he was talking, what I thought was if every news agency, cable and otherwise, you know, if it's the night Scott Pelley signed off by CBS News and saying, you know, thanks for joining us, we'll see you tomorrow night, with paying respect to the bodies that came back to Dover today, and at the end of the CBS News, as they run the credits, they show the honor guard taking the bodies off the plane.
Absolutely.
And everybody did that on the air every night, so that when we went to bed, it would be fresh in our mind that we got politicians on both sides of the damn aisle that won't admit that we screwed up in Afghanistan, won't stop the war, and we got men and women suffering for political gains, and I think that gentleman had an excellent idea. God bless him.
Hey, Joe, I remember when TV, like you said, would go off and they'd play the national anthem.
Oh, my God, yeah. I remember the first time my dad took me to a ball game when I was young. It was in D.C., and everybody stood up for the national anthem, and as the anthem was playing, there was a tear coming down my dad's eye. And we sat down, and I said, Dad, why are you crying? He said, I fought a war, son. He said, I was in World War II. He said, every time that flag flies and I hear the banner, he said, I can't help it. I cry. And you know what? I get a tear in my eye when I think of that day. And that's the kind of patriotism that I think still exists in this country. I don't think it's as outward and as professed as it used to be. But you know what? This is still a great nation, and people still believe in what we're doing and what the country's about. And, I think that we need to keep in the forefront, what happens to other Americans in these bad times. And I really like the idea of showing the honor guards with the caskets at the night, at the end of every newscast, whether that's cable or broadcast.
Absolutely. Let's take a call from Bill. Bill's on line 1 from Estero. What's up, my friend?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Bill, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, I just tuned in, and I was listening to a veteran that called in, and he was complaining about worn and tattered flags.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that. I mean, I respect him, and I respect all of our service people, and I appreciate everything they've done. But I'd be proud to fly a worn and tattered flag. That just means that it's been in service for a long time, and we respect our country. And I don't see that as disrespectful.
Well, I think he was just using it as a euphemism, kind of let you know that he does respect the flag and what it stands for. I don't think he certainly meant, maybe literally. Maybe I got it wrong, but
I think.
I think he was just more like saying, Bill Hicks. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bill Hicks. He's a comedian. He's no longer here, but he had a part where he was talking about the guy who shot the guy. And he was talking about the flag, and he said the American flag. He says my great grandfather, died for the flag, and he went on and on and on. And Bill Hicks, being the comedian, said, "I went down to Walmart, picked mine up for $2.99. No death, no shooting, no nothing." So comedy is very subjective. What one person doesn't like, the other person finds it humoristic. So, but I get your point, Bill. Everybody loves this country that does love the country, and if you don't, the old adage still is here. If you don't love it, leave it. That's how it is. So.
Yeah, well, I saw a sticker on the car yesterday. It says, "If you don't stand behind our troops, stand in front of them."
Amen to that.
I have the ultimate respect for everybody that serves our country, and I don't agree with everything we're doing, but they're just doing their job. They're doing what they're asked to do, and we need to stand behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for calling, Bill. Thank you for calling. 277-9600 or 775-9600. Give us a call if you have a comment to make. Real quick, Joe, I want to ask you about the legalities now to weeding through these people as the CIA and whatnot starts looking into certain people's backgrounds and starts digging up their information. Is there going to be a thing, the ACLU coming out and going, oh, you shouldn't have looked at this guy. He had no reason to look for him. He's got, all kind of rights. Is this going to be a problem now?
What if you did a background check?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of Americans may not believe this due to the movies and things they watch, but there are very, very strict laws as to what law enforcement agencies can do, and especially with what the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency can do. And there are some very, very tight restrictions on what can be done with Americans in our own country. And as much as I'm skeptical about a lot of things the government does, and I would agree with a lot of people that say it's very, very hard for the government to maintain my personal trust, I don't have any worries at all about organizations like the CIA or the NSA violating the rights of me as an American. There may be the occasional case where somebody in an organization like that goes rogue, but, the entire time I worked on active duty, the entire time I continued to work with these people and consult on government projects, if there's one thing, literally to the man and woman in all these agencies that they absolutely respect and honor, it's the rights of the American citizens and the Constitution. And, one of the reasons why it takes organizations like the FBI so long to investigate terror organizations and actually build a case and actually shut them down is because there are so many legal wickets that organizations like the FBI have to go through to protect the rights of even the people they're investigating. So, that's the one part of our great government that I got to be honest with you, Smitty and Amber, I just don't worry about it.
Well, I had one question you had spoke about earlier about the drone attacks that, there was, Obama had more drone attacks than what, Bush had in his first 4 years and Bush totaled in 8 years. But, if you would clarify for me, in all fairness, haven't we had an uptick in Muslim activity in the last decade, 2 decades? It's like comparative to Obama versus Kennedy. Back in the 60s, we really didn't have, an Islamic outbreak like we see today. So, is it...
I'm gonna kind of disagree with you there, and I'll tell you why. Because before Obama got into office, let's go back to the Reagan administration. You had the killing of 238 Marines by Hamas in Beirut. You had the 2 American embassies bombed by Al-Qaeda in Africa. You had the USS Cole. You had the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. You had Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City was our own guy.
Visibility events were much more prevalent pre-Obama than post-Obama.
But I think now that they see that they have social media to kind of, I shouldn't say, expand their message, I guess would be a good term to kind of, push their message. You know what I'm saying? Before they didn't really have a platform. Think about it. We really didn't. A decade, 15 years ago, how much did you see coverage other than the local 6 o'clock news?
You saw what they let you see.
Exactly. So now it's, because of social media and you have all these outlets, are you seeing this stuff? So, I think that they have a platform now that they did not have a decade ago.
Yeah, well...
to a certain extent, you may be right. But let's, in the digital age, with the information age and news, the news cycle never ending, 24/7, and the social media, I think a lot of events, I think maybe they're not more prevalent than they used to be. It's just that we find out about them real time, and we find out about them, I'll give you an example. Let's look at the issue of gay rights. I personally don't believe that there's any more gay and lesbians in society today than there were 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. But you get inundated whenever there's an issue, whenever anybody's been wronged, whenever a mayor makes a decision, whenever the courts make a decision, and it's the media and the immediate information environment that make us as Americans think that all of a sudden gay rights is such a big issue. It's really not a big issue. It's just that everybody hears about it because we can. Right. So if you go back to even Vietnam, when we saw newsreels about Vietnam, that footage was a day or two old. We never even got Vietnam real time. A lot of things that happened during World War II, we didn't find out about until people went into the archives and dug up the film and dug up the stories in the 90s and the early 2000s. So, right. You know, I think it's just a function of the fact that nothing can happen in this world today that somehow somebody doesn't discover and distribute to the world. And it makes it kind of a whole different environment.
Well, Joe, we're going to take a real quick break if you don't mind holding. I appreciate it, my friend. We have to give our tip to the hat to our sponsors, On-Site Tactical, Doggone Barbecue, and of course Mickelson's Pastries. 6 caller that calls up right now, 277-9600, 775-9600. We'll get a 4-pack and a koozie. We even got a spiff on there for the Doggone Barbecue sauce. And it's good stuff. 6 caller that calls up and can get through the lines. Call up and get yourself some good grub, and we'll be back. Joe, hold on. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Hey, it's Bubba the Love Sponge. Check me out mornings right here on 96 K-Rock from 6 till 10 a.m., followed by an all-new lineup of the best damn radio shows, period. Zeno and Garrett middays, Stan and Haney afternoons, followed by Lex and Terry the Nardi, the Alex Jones Show, and Man Count. Check out all the shows on 96krock.com. Take K-Rock everywhere you go by downloading the iRadio Now app on your smartphone or your Android. It's a radio station that has balls to give you exactly what you wanted. Entertaining radio. 96 K-Rock. Talk that rocks.
Will these unexpected bills ever end?
Do you have bills that can't wait? Need cash now? Bring your firearms to Pine Ridge Pawn for a fast cash loan. Pine Ridge Pawn offers collateral loans on all types of firearms. Pine Ridge Pawn is a fully licensed FFL firearms dealer. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, transfer, or trade, Pine Ridge Pawn offers a wide selection of rifles, shotguns, pistols, and revolvers. Looking to obtain your concealed weapons permit? Pine Ridge Pawn offers convenient weekend CCW classes. Visit PineRidgePawn.com for a wide selection of new firearms that ship overnight with a lifetime warranty. Pine Ridge Pawn. We pay you more and treat you better. Se habla español. Pine Ridge Pawn and Jewelry. Visit us at 2033 Pine Ridge Road in Naples or online at PineRidgePawn.com.
Benjamin Franklin once said, "They that give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." For nearly 2 decades, Safety Signal Systems has been protecting individuals and companies throughout the Southeast, and now they introduce SafetyNet, the fastest, most reliable method to transmit wireless fire alarm signals. If you're currently relying on telephone lines, the signal could take 30 seconds or more to reach its destination. If the phone line hasn't already been destroyed in the fire, SafetyNet can transmit that signal in as little as 2 seconds. Customers also save an average of $1,000 per year per monitored fire alarm system with the SafetyNet radio from Safety Signal Systems, liberating clients from high telephone line charges while providing the security they deserve. SafetyNet Fire Alarm Radio from Safety Signal Systems. Learn more by calling 415-0601 or visiting SafetySignalSystems.com. Safety Signal Systems Incorporated, 415-0601. License EF742. As Thomas Jefferson so eloquently stated in our Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For nearly 2 decades, Safety Signal Systems has been protecting individuals and companies throughout the Southeast, and now they introduce SafetyNet, the fastest, most reliable method to transmit wireless fire alarm signals. When disaster strikes, every second counts. If you're currently relying on telephone lines, the signal could take 30 seconds or more to reach its destination. If the phone line hasn't already been destroyed in the fire, SafetyNet can transmit that signal in as little as 2 seconds. Learn more by calling Safety Signal Systems Incorporated at 415-0601. That's 415-0601. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your family, your possessions, and yourself with the SafetyNet wireless alarm system from Safety Signal Systems Incorporated.
Now, more of the Keith Hanson Show featuring Smitty.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened then?
Past then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now? Soon.
Call Keith and Smitty at 239-277-9600. This is the Keith Hanson Show featuring Smitty on 96 K-Rock. Talk that rocks.
Hey, welcome to the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty. We're going to we got the winner on 3 here. What's up, winner?
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm enjoying the show.
Absolutely, my friend. Thanks for listening in, and we're here every Saturday, whether you like it or not. And what do you think, man? Do you think we're doing a good job?
I think you are. I actually had about a 5-minute rant on my radio show on Wednesday night about these conspiracy guys.
Yeah, man, there's something,
It gets under my skin.
Yeah, there's something out there. And we got one that calls all the time, militant out there, and he calls and he'll listen to InfoWars and every conspiracy theory out there. But that's how it is, man. Hey, you won.
I've actually unfriended 6 people on my Facebook in the past 3 days.
Oh, well, that's how it goes on that thing. Hey, you won the doggone barbecue sauces, man. So.
I like it.
And you got a little koozie in there. It's a good thing. Like I said, some of the 100% after the tax rights, animal shelter and rescue. That's where the money, the profits go. So it's a good cause, you know.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. I'll continue to listen.
I appreciate it, my friend. The 277-9600 or 775-9600. Joe, you're back on the air with us, my friend. We're going to take a call and get this thing rolling. Looks like line 1. Bo, are you there?
Yeah.
Thanks for holding, my friend. I appreciate it. What's going on, bud?
Well, mostly I just want to talk about desensitizing children the proper way. You take them hunting and you take them fishing and you show them what a bullet and a knife does, and then you show them how to butcher the thing and cook it, and now it's worked because I've raised 3 kids and 2 wives, and I know this works. My youngest one is...
Well, you got me by 1. I've had 1, and that was enough.
Okay.
But, you know, that makes a lot of sense when you take kids out, like he was saying, and you show them what a knife can do, you show them what a gun can do.
My father was just talking about that last night. He said, we were growing up. He said we would cut the pig's throat, we'd shoot the cow. He said we saw what it did, to the animals, and he said we never took it for granted, and he said the kids these days just, my son, I mean, they don't realize what goes into, another living thing.
Well, I still raise and catch almost 95% of my food. I live on a small farm. I raise my goats. I catch my fish. I kill my hogs.
Wow.
And awesome. I can guarantee you, either one of my children, my daughter can clean fish better than any man I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
What part of town you from?
I'm not town. I'm in Royal Palm Hammock. I'm I'm south of Naples, about the South Road to Marco.
Okay, I know where you're at.
I'm right on the edge of the park system. Once you get to the edge of my property, it's 102 miles to the next house.
Wow. And you got to feed yourself.
Safety courses right in my front yard.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, that's more than I could do. I usually just go to the grocery mart and pick up some burgers, you know what I mean?
Well, I have not...
No stabbing, no nothing.
...out of a grocery store in over 21 years.
Wow.
That's good, though. You probably don't have any chemicals or toxins that you need to detox from.
No, ma'am, not at all. Yeah. I'm 70 years old, and I work out every day, and I can whip most 40-years-olds.
Good for you, man.
It's tough for me just to get out of bed, so I...
Well, it has to do something with the grocery store hamburgers, then.
Because I'm lucky. That one of mine is a deputy. He calls me every morning and says, "Son, what set are you on, Dad?"
Well, congratulations, my friend. Absolutely. Well,
but that's how to desensitize children to that kind of stuff. I mean, teach them what a bullet does. Show them how to use a knife.
Sure.
Correctly.
Well, nowadays you got to give parents a chance to get out with their kids. Most of them just let the TV raise them and video games and that kind of thing.
I had my own business. I took my kids to work with me. Now, the oldest one, he was a diver on a minesweeper with the Navy.
Oh, sweet.
And he knows how to make things go boom.
That's a dangerous job.
Yeah.
That's a real dangerous job.
That's awesome.
Thanks for having me on. But that's how to teach children. I believe that, man. I'm 70 years old, and I've seen it work. I've raised 3 kids and 2 wives, and man, I've had a good life.
Well, Bo, I do appreciate you for calling, my friend. Stay tuned again. Call next week if you feel so inclined.
No, I usually work on Saturday. That's the first time I've ever heard you guys.
Oh,
this was a pure accident.
Well, sometimes it happens that way, you know.
All right, buddy. Have a great day.
All right, my friend. And I tell you, 70 years old, got more wisdom than probably all of us. Yeah, that's one thing wisdom will get you, man. You got to live long, and you finally learn something in life. At least some people do. Let's take another.
I met Smitty. Pure accident.
That's right, pure accident. And
Worst day of your life.
And I didn't even have a wide stance.
Oh, God.
Robert, you're on line 2. Robert, are you there?
Yeah, I can dig that guy. I myself have some land. You know, people are going to be he's going to be one of those people laughing when the grocery store is empty and people don't know how to, there's no food. And he's like, no problem. Look, you guys were talking about drones and stuff earlier.
And I'll share something with you. I even wrote to the president and the senators and stuff this. When they were capturing, because there's been several of them that have been captured, most notably the one where, gosh, you had everyone except the Ayatollah standing in front of it, gloating. Why don't they... Like, the Enterprise had a self-destruct button. You could have cleaned house right then. Every time they capture one of them, it's like, well, you might want to call us because that's sophisticated equipment, and if you mess with it, it could blow up.
You want to take that, Joe?
Well, I'm not quite sure I understand the gentleman's question.
Well, the thing is, how come our government doesn't do something so simple, such as when they had Iran capture that drone plane? Why didn't we have a self-destruct on that? We could have cleaned the house right then. There was everyone but the Ayatollah standing in front of that thing.
I don't know. I gave up a long time ago. I thought the same thing. I thought, if allegedly this was ours and allegedly it was so sophisticated, hell, wouldn't they have had, an ability to self-destruct? And really, since we're just common citizens and we don't understand what goes on, let's just go with stuff from the Clancy novel. There may have been a self-destruct on the drone, and maybe it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, when I saw that, it's like, the Enterprise. Kirk had a self-destruct button, so if it got in the enemy's hands. Our government, where do you think the cell phone came from? Yeah.
Because that's putting information into their hands that, where we've been, what we've done,
Sure.
Exactly.
That they should.
Nonetheless, we could have cleaned house.
I mean, they could at least slap some C4 on there and run like hell.
Exactly. I know.
But let me throw this at you, okay? There's an old saying in the intelligence community, you don't know what you don't know, okay?
I hear you.
And really, we don't know whether, if we really want to let our imaginations go wild and we want to go into Tom Clancy novels, how do we as Americans know that for whatever reason, we didn't allow that piece of equipment to be captured?
Well, like myself, I was in the Marine Corps.
These people in the U.S. government program, they're not stupid.
Right.
Well, I know from when I joined the military. Now, this was back when Ronald Reagan was president, but when I got in there was stuff that's like, wow, I didn't even know he had that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, thanks for calling, my friend.
Yeah.
And, he's right, I guess. You look at things and you always Monday morning quarterback everything and say, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? And sometimes in the heat of battle and things happen so fast, you just don't have a chance. Joe, I got a special guest I want to bring on. This guy's a local listener. He listens all the time. You're going to get a kick out of him, Joe. His name's Pete.
Hey,
Pete from St. Pete. Pete, where you at?
Yeah. Hey, good. How you doing? And your co-host there, the blonde Romney loser.
I love you too, Pete.
Pete, you wouldn't say that if she was sitting next to you and buying you a drink.
I would kick your butt so bad.
She looks pretty. She's probably packing, man. She's probably packing.
Well, she's packing all right. I can tell you that.
I'm blushing, and I never blush. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I forget your first name, honey. What is it?
It's Amber.
Oh, Amber.
You're like Amber Waves of Grain?
Yeah, you need to have that rolling off your lips at night. Come on, Pete.
Oh, I do. Oh, I know I do. I know I do.
She was named after St. Amber. I'll remember that for sure.
All right.
Hey, you guys were talking about my hometown, Boston. You don't have to worry about, getting these people legally. Boston is the smartest place in America, probably on earth. And they know
you wouldn't
how
be
to
biased, would you, Pete?
Believe me, dear.
They're number one in
I've been at that
education.
finish line. I've stood at that same spot many times and watched the marathon. I live 5 miles from there.
You didn't run it, Pete?
But, yeah. Huh?
Did you ever run the marathon?
No, but I have a lot of friends that did, the ones with the artificial hips.
Did you? Did you?
No, a lot of my friends have. And
did you know anybody up there at all, Pete? Did you know anybody that was hurt?
Yes. A friend of mine who owns the insurance company, his son ran in it. He's 40 years old. He just crossed the finish line when the bombs went off, and they told him to keep moving. He wound up 5 miles away walking along the Charles River until somebody picked him up and took him to the suburbs.
Wow. Well, that was definitely it's your hometown. I know you feel terrible about it, my friend.
Oh yeah, but I'll tell you that they did pick the wrong place because Boston they're smart and they're tough, and they'll deal with it properly. And believe me,
real quick, Pete. Let me ask you: do you think it's a conspiracy, or do you think it's just a bunch of two crazy kids?
it's they're too stupid. They're too many. It's not a conspiracy. It's two crazy kids.
Two crazy kids.
I mean, they didn't even have a getaway plan.
That's what I said.
It's a conspiracy. Don't worry about it. It's stupid. It's a bad, dumb one.
Well, you know what they're going to say? It's Obama's fault, right?
Yeah, wonderful.
Well, I love how he says, like, Boston is the best place in the world because,
they're the smartest.
Well, the smartest, but, Romney was, governor.
Well, you know what?
He's from Michigan,
I'm so upset. Obama went to
show me
school
a
in
town full of
Cambridge.
Irishmen that drink Irish whiskey and beer at a steady pace, and I'll show you a town that doesn't tolerate any crap.
There you go.
Ooh.
There you go.
Who's that?
That's Joe Raffini. He's our in-studio guest, man. He's a terrorist expert.
Well, where are you put? Come on,
you and I have known each other now for about 4.5 minutes.
Well, where's he hiding?
Oh, he can't tell you. He'd have to kill you.
Oh, yeah.
I
can't tell you where I am, Pete, or bad things will happen.
Hey, yeah, you make sense, buddy. I listen to you.
Well, you know what, Pete? I think you are an outstanding judge of human character, having said that.
I feel a marriage made in heaven right here.
You must not be a native of the down that way. You must be from up north.
Well, I've spent the last 23 years in Colorado, born and raised around the Washington, D.C. area, and...
Okay, so you're enlightened. Not like some of these rednecks. That's what we have to do, my friend. We have to educate them, because they're afraid. They're afraid because America's changing. And, it's true. America is changing.
Well, thank you.
It's for the better.
Thank you for the call, Pete. As always, you are something special, my friend, and I'm sure Keith will want to talk to you next week when he comes back in town.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, my friend.
I'll tell you what, when I get to be president of my own country, I'd like to offer Pete the vice presidency.
He will be at your beck and call, that's for sure, Joe.
Well,
he's a fan.
Well, we have a couple minutes before we have to take another break. Anything you want to talk about, Joe, before we cut you loose? And thank you so much for all your time.
It's been a pleasure, and I just want to reiterate again. This is not about being paranoid. It's just being vigilant. And I would just like everybody to remember that when they're out in public, keep your eyes and ears open, because as was the case in the marathon, your life, the life of people you love and others may be in your ability just to look at something and say, that doesn't look right, I got to grab a cop. And that's all. I'll just end with that one there. It's been a pleasure to be with you, Amber.
You as well, Joe. Always interesting and learn a lot.
Well, Joe,
Amber, my sympathy, you must be a phenomenal woman if you can actually sit there and in the same room with Smitty for an hour. I admire you.
I adore him, and he knows it. I mean, he's misguided, but I adore him.
Well, I do too. I have a picture of him framed in my living room, and every night my wife lights 2 candles on either side when the sun goes down. And my job is to let the candles burn all night and just blow them out in the morning before breakfast.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to have to send you a Christmas card.
You're on the list now.
Put a couple of 50s in it.
As long as she's not yelling my name, I'm good.
You got it. Listen, you guys be safe. Thanks for inviting me today.
I'll be in touch with you, Joe. And again, thank you. I can't thank you enough for all your insight. And it's been a pleasure, my friend. You be careful, okay?
My friend, be safe, guys.
All right, Joe. That's Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Raffini, retired. And he's got a couple books out there if you're looking to read up on stuff that he has written. It's When Terror Comes to Main Street. And he also wrote Osama bin Laden, His Death and the Future of Al-Qaeda and Islamist Jihad. So he is a very informative guy who knows a lot about everything. We're going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back. If you want to give us a call, 277-9600 or 775-9600, give us a call. We'll be right back.
96 K-Rock, Stan and Haney Afternoons.
We've been doing it for years and didn't even know we were doing anything wrong. You call somebody that from China, he's a Chinaman.
Yeah, last time I checked.
And
what are you getting at?
Well, apparently that's...
Not like we're calling them coolies.
Apparently, it's inappropriate.
Says who?
Says society now. That's politically correct society.
Stan and Haney Afternoons. 96 K-Rock. Talk that rocks.
Somewhere in America, a heart attack occurs once every 20 seconds. 75% of all heart attacks occur inside the home. Statistics show that performing CPR can triple a victim's chances of survival while waiting for paramedics to arrive. For American Heart Association CPR, first aid, and AED training, turn to CPR Works for your initial training and biannual certifications. Call CPR Works today at 888-277-8254 or visit them on the web at cprworksfl.com. That's cprworksfl.com. Group rates and corporate discounts apply. CPR Works and you. Together, we can keep the beat pumping. Attention boat owners, maximize your boat's fuel efficiency and performance by having your vessel's hull, propellers, and running gear cleaned the right way the first time around. Diversified Diving Services of Southwest Florida, the region's leading commercial diving services provider, offers hull cleaning and maintenance packages for vessels ranging in size from 25 feet to 100 feet and up. Trust us to be your underwater specialists. Diversified Diving Services. Give us a call today at 239-628-3483 or find us on the web at diversified-diving.com.
A crime is committed against an individual every 30 seconds. Some are devastating and leave you traumatized. Protecting yourself is vital for survival. Know the law and the tactics necessary to survive a violent attack. Protect yourself and your family. On-Site Tactical Training Institute has certified law enforcement instructors who can teach you the proper way to legally carry a concealed firearm. We offer training programs for the Florida Concealed Weapons Permit, as well as tactical firearms handling and shooting programs for handguns, shotguns, and defensive rifle. Our reality-based firearms training program features live action scenarios to help you shorten your reaction time and improve your tactical skills. Get trained today the right way. Call On-Site Tactical Institute right now at 239-247-5585 or visit us on the web at www.ostti.com. On-Site Tactical Training Institute. Get trained. Be prepared. Feel confident. And win. Protect yourself against the bad guy.
Now, more of the Keith Hanson Show featuring Smitty.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Call 277 or 775-9600. This is the Keith Hanson Show featuring Smitty on 96 K-Rock.
Welcome back to the show, the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty. Amber is actually in here at the studio today. We want to thank her for coming in. I just wanted to give another shout-out to our sponsors really quick. The on-site tactical training, which of course is always good to have. The doggone barbecue sauce, which is fantastic. And of course, Mickelson's pastries. And
will you rap for us again?
You want to hear it? Okay.
I want to hear it.
Real quick, we'll do my Mickelson's rap for anybody that likes Mickelson's. Okay. I like big buns and pastries too. Mickelson's makes them for you. Donuts, pastries, tarts and all. Pick 'em up the phone and give a call. Catering or just drive in. Eat 'em up, cause dog, it ain't no sin. Mickelson's is easy, here to stay. Business lanes, get out of my way. Next time you're looking for that treat, hit the road, big dog, and grab that seat. Mickelson's in Naples now. One big bite and you'll say, wow. That's right. Yo. That's right. Mickelson's Bakery. Your one-stop shop for donuts, pastries, cookies, tarts, and more. Call Mickelson's today at 239-596-5996. That's 239-596-5996. Life is short. Eat cookies. So that's my rap. That's my history.
That was really, I have to say, impressive.
I'm telling you, well, I'm just a fan of knowledge.
You were just all kinds of hidden talents.
And of course, we have other logo says, dog in beer's life. I only had one. See, like that. And that's from the doggone sauce.
Dog beers.
In
dog
like
beers.
You
say in
dog
life. Human years and dog beers.
And dog beers. I've had one.
Great.
There you go.
I'm blonde. I got a duck.
I couldn't hardly read it. Well, let's just jump a little bit a subject here. We've talked about the marathon, but there's other news actually. And the one big thing was the ricin attack. The guy that mailed the ricin to the senator and the president. His name, of course, is Paul figures, Kevin Curtis, Paul Kevin Curtis, and he is a part-time Elvis impersonator.
That is a job that everybody desires to have.
Apparently, I don't know for this to be fact, but apparently he is a Mensa, somebody was saying. Yes. And he's 45-year-old, and he's from Tupelo, Mississippi.
I think he printed out his own Mensa certificate,
Maybe
personally.
He's smart the guy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's
like we were talking about during the break. What genius would have thought the president's going to open up
his own
letter mailed to him to say, "Hey, I'm just going to send this to the president."
I have nothing better to do. Hey,
he's going to open it up. I'll get him.
I might get a fan letter.
I mean, even Ted Kaczynski was smarter than that. So. But any thoughts on that guy sending his stuff, huh?
He's a little bizarre. Where do they apprehend him? I mean, where is he at right now? Did they say?
They just picked him probably at his house, probably sitting watching TV with a cold beer.
No, but I mean, they apprehended him, though. Are they questioning him?
Yeah, they've apprehended him, of course. It's he appeared in court in Oxford, Mississippi. So that's where he appeared in front of the attorney, Christine McCoy. And he's going to remain in custody until a grand jury issues him expected an indictment, and then a preliminary hearing is scheduled for April 29th. Anybody that sends that kind of stuff today has got to have a screw loose.
Well, he's an Elvis impersonator, in all fairness.
What? You're going to crack on Elvis impersonators?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go there.
Come on, man. You can't sing an Elvis song and not try to impersonate Elvis.
I clearly can. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be singing an Elvis song. That'd be first of all.
What do you mean? Elvis is historic. He's iconic.
Yeah, maybe.
He is like Beatles stuff. He's like the high of the mountain, and you're going to crack on Elvis? You're going to get a lot of bad publicity.
That's your genre.
It doesn't matter genre. I listen to the old stuff, too. Frank Sinatra. I listen to everything.
Frankie Boy, Blue Eyes, any day.
See?
I will impersonate.
Billie Holiday. You listen to all of it.
No way, no how.
Well, you're a country girl.
My lip doesn't quiver.
Where are you from, Oklahoma?
Get it right.
Same
Blue
place.
dress. Blue dress.
Arkansas, same thing. But they're all country. And you never listened to Elvis growing up?
No.
Man, what were you guys listening to?
Patsy Cline, Garth Brooks.
Oh, that's not country,
Exactly. That's what we were growing up on. So no, Elvis was not allowed in our house. So my parents were like super Christian, and they thought he was like too sexy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, he was the man. Okay.
I'm sure he had a lot, too. He got a lot.
I saw the thing, and I looked up his home, and I looked up Google, because it's like Elvis Way. And
it's Memphis, right?
Yeah, it's Tupelo, Mississippi, is where he was born. So I pulled it up on the Google map, because I want to see his house and all. See what it looked like from the Google. And I did that last night for the bomber that was in the boat.
Right.
I also Googled the same address and zoomed in just to see what it looked like.
It's really cool how
it
they
is
did
cool
that,
how it is. And so I pulled up, and they got a fence around it.
So
Elvis's house. Yes, so you can't see it on Google. You actually got to kind of drive there and get out and go see it if you want to go see it.
I bet you have to, it's probably one of those, their house, the historic house. You have to pay to go see it.
That's exactly right.
That's messed up that you can't even see it on satellite.
See how big he is? He's the bomb.
No, that's just a capitalistic society saying you ain't gonna take a peek at my stuff without paying.
That's you're all about that, making a buck, man.
I am. I think we have developed nations that aren't as far along as we are because they're not a capitalistic society. And hey, do what you gotta do.
Well, you wanted to talk about the fertilizer bomb.
Yes, fertilizer.
In Waco, Texas, because that's really.
Cows get together and no.
I actually have a friend of the family. He couldn't call in today. His name is Dale Busey. I'm going to try to see if I can get him on maybe next week if he can. I know he works a lot, but I'm going to try to get him out there. He actually was working about 8-9 miles from the actual Waco place where it blew up.
Did he feel the blast?
Oh yeah, he said it was tremendous. So I'm going to get him to give his first-hand account if he ever gets off work. He's always working, but that is just incredible. That it's like 15 people died now. They're saying
35. They just actually, I think in the last hour, uncovered 12 more bodies in the actual.
So it's 35 people died.
And I don't know if it's a plus another 12 or if it's the 12 that were included in the 35, but 120 right now are at the hospital with.
2.1 on the Richter scale.
Right.
It was just, and some people are saying that could have been a terrorist thing now, see?
With it, yeah.
They're saying that they brought in dogs. They were going to check this thing out to make sure that it wasn't just,
by coincidence, it's on the same day. Yeah.
Other people are saying it was the fire department that showed up that didn't know what they were dealing with.
Right.
And they sprayed water on it. And that could have made the explosion bad.
And what's so sad is behind it was an elementary school, and to the side of it was a nursing home. So, I mean, here you have children and, the geriatrics that are, surrounding this place. So you had the worst of the worst. I mean, you could not have had this in a worse area.
Yep. And they said that the aftershock was massive, and it went 50 miles away. People were still getting some stuff.
Basically, what it did, you know better than I do, did it engulf the houses around it, I guess, right?
I saw pictures, and it just blew them apart. I mean, when you have an explosion that massive, that the shock waves will just tear buildings down. And it was amazing that that anybody even lived in some of those houses that were away. And they said they literally just blew them up. And it happened at around 7 o'clock at night, I think it was.
Right.
And
they were already at home.
And so.
Well, I did some research on the fertilizer company, and it's like the last 2 years they had been getting in trouble for not for security measurements, for not having a risk management plan. I mean, they had been fined. I mean, they knew this was on Texas's radar that this company was not abiding by risk management.
Anytime you have government trying to put regulations, you get the conservatives like yourself trying to be saying, well, we don't put any regulations. We don't want government stepping in.
The first thing I said was, this is why we have regulations
in
place. Well, I mean, there's a reason for it.
You can look at the regulations that are dismissed from the miners now. I mean, every so many years, you got the mining company goes in there, and it's always profit over people. Doesn't matter. And whoever put that factory or that fertilizer plant right there next to all the elementary school and all these other people, that's just irresponsible. Let's take a real quick call on line 1. We have a call. Matthew, go ahead.
Hey.
What's up, my friend?
I didn't hear anything on your show today. I heard a lot about the Boston bombing, but I didn't hear anything about the CISPA Act that was passed the same day the bombing hit.
What is that? Enlighten me. I can't get on everything.
It is an act, a privacy act that has to do with cyber control.
Cyber control.
I don't have a lot of time today.
Right.
But I just, everyone can probably go online and just Google it.
Sister Act, was that a movie? Sister Act?
No, it's not a movie, no.
I thought that Whoopi Goldberg was in that movie, Sister Act.
So just real quick, what does it do? Does it protect those that are online, or does it give the federal government more leeway to go in and basically spy on individuals?
It gives the federal government more leeway.
Okay. But, weren't we already heading in this direction? Because didn't Facebook already turn over to, Homeland over the past year, like 1,600 different accounts?
All I can do is just urge people to kind of think for themselves a little bit. And,
that's asking too much.
Go on and look at the act and see what it entails and see if you agree with it or not.
Do you agree with it?
Not so much.
So what happens when somebody down the street is an Al-Qaeda guy and they couldn't look at him because you didn't want him to look in his backyard to see what he was doing, and they can blow your house up? Then you'd change your mind then, wouldn't you?
Sure, but
sure.
Everyone's an Al-Qaeda guy.
Yeah, I had heard about this. I didn't realize it had passed, but yeah, this is one of those acts that basically they're trying to get Microsoft, Google, Facebook on board with it so that they can kind of pull from their data information. So everything that you pull, because it's a private corporation, they can't necessarily obtain that information.
I don't think people are aware of it, and I don't think that people realize that we're aware of it, that it did pass, and it passed the same day as the bombing. It happens to be somewhat of a coincidence.
Well, it sounds like
you're.
Well, thanks for calling. It sounds like he was saying that the younger generation. I can pretty much say this: the younger generation now, they don't trust our government. They don't trust our government. When you hear a young guy like that saying, hey, I'm concerned about my government allowing this to go on, I'm concerned about this that goes on, they don't trust the government. The older folks, and I can put myself in that category because I'm an old guy now, but they trust the government more.
But you grew up in an era where where the government couldn't infiltrate your lives the way that they could now. Whatever you post, like say your cell phone records, your text messages, all that can be obtained now because of this Privacy Act. Because all they have to do is go to say, whoever your carrier is, AT&T. Well, because of this Privacy Act, we're allowed to obtain every text message you've ever sent, and if there's a word in there, say Islam, we can pull that out, and all of a sudden you're red flag. Same thing with Facebook. If you're on there and you're Obama hater, and they pull all that and they pick that up, you're red flag.
But it seems like the young kids now are gravitating towards these radical thoughts. These
radical,
Alex
though.
Jones, he's not radical. InfoWars, they're not radical.
No, I didn't say he's not. They are, and Glenn Beck is. But I'm saying this particular thing, I totally get it because I mean, like I said, 50 years ago, you didn't have to worry about this. Right now, everything, just a note to all of our listeners, everything you post right now, the government can get into it. Your cell phone records, your text messages, all that is a viable information. You can delete all you want. It is still there. There are still records of it, and they keep it. And like I said, last year alone, they had Google requested 1,600 requests to Google. Google obliged and turned over information. So basically, how many times was it searched to make a bomb?
Well, I think at some point in time you have to say, okay, we trust the government. I mean, you may not like it, but you have to trust them.
Do you?
I have to. I have no choice.
No, not the have to. Do you? Do you willingly want to trust? Do you? Do you think
personally? Do I?
Yeah.
I would say 80% of me does.
Really?
Yeah.
That's higher than what I would.
Yeah, I would say 80% of me does trust the government. Now there's 20% I think are stuff that's going on that's probably bad for us, and I think there's some stuff that we shouldn't have to know about, because when you start exposing everything, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We have a special caller, Keith. Keith on line 4. Where are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
About time you showed up.
Well, better late than never. Hey, Smitty, Amber, thank you so much, guys, for taking care of this in my absence. I genuinely appreciate it. I'm lost in Tallahassee somewhere.
Okay, well, make sure you find your way home.
Well, I'm on the hands-free now, so unfortunately GPS is not an option. But anyway, 6.5 hours. You know, you really don't appreciate how big Florida is until you drive from one end to the other.
Right.
It's a big state.
Well, can't you just stand on a bucket and see the other end?
What?
Can't you just stand on a bucket and see the other end of Florida?
Up here, there's actually hills and old-growth trees. It's actually kind of beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to go over and check that out, man.
I managed to catch the live video stream here for about 10 minutes, and I was pretty impressed with the call volume that was coming in. This is obviously it's been quite the week, and a lot of things to talk about. And of course, next week there'll be a lot more things to talk about here as this develops. But you know, it's interesting. It's things like this, when they happen, our country starts to come together.
Well, absolutely. And this is a venue where if you're a listener, whether you're a first-time listener or been listening a while, if you have something to say and you want to speak your mind, whether you agree with me or Keith or Amber, you know, you can call in. And this is a place where you can expose some things. You can ask them some questions. And some of the politicians, they may not say so, but they're listening. You know, they got their ear to the ground, and they hear the heartbeat, and they know what's happened. So, you know, take advantage of it while you can.
I think that's the whole premise of the show, Smitty. And, you know, you and I don't always agree on everything, and I don't agree with everybody that I talk with. But the point is, we have to keep that dialogue going. We have to keep that conversation going. It's when the conversation stops that we run into a problem. But we have to keep that conversation going.
Well, we only have about 3 minutes or so, but really quick, I want you to speak on your opinion. You were talking to me last night about the media coverage. Real quick. We got 2 minutes.
Well, I think first of all, I think the images that I'm seeing coming out of the media, blood-stained pavements and that, it's really unnecessary. I mean, yes, it's important that this information be conveyed and the correct information is conveyed, but just watching, I was at an event yesterday and they, unfortunately had CNN was the station of choice. It just doesn't matter whether the coverage is accurate, or correct or has been verified. They just want they want to be the ones that are the news source with the breaking information. And the problem is that 90% of the time they're running on speculation and conjecture, and it winds up being inaccurate. And I really think the media has to get their act together here.
Well, you're right. There is a quick knee-jerk reaction to be the first guy, the first show to break the first story. And I can remember when Obamacare was passed, the first thing they said, it was shut down. And then about a minute later, they read a little bit further and they go, oh, well, it's not shut down. So it was a real quick judgment call, you know.
But the nice thing is that you know, the second alleged farmer is in custody. And hopefully now they're going to get the information that they need to wrap this up, and hopefully this sends a message. Unfortunately, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see a situation like this on American soil, but, you know, I mean, good job to the men and women of law enforcement, and, you know, I'm happy to see that this thing was brought to a speedy resolution.
Should we waterboard him?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man.
Waterboard him.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't think we need to waterboard anybody. I think we just have to shoot him with some drugs, some truth serum, let him talk, you know?
Oh, you tickle his knees, his feet.
We can We can lock him in a room with Nancy Pelosi for 6 hours, and I'm sure that kind of
I would talk. Oh my God, I would talk.
Either that or we'll send Amber in there. He'll give up anything to be with that.
I'll beat the crap out of him. No, Nancy Pelosi, I'm crying just the thought of that right now. Oh my goodness.
I just can't wait for the next election.
You have her and Nancy Pelosi and Debbie Wasserman Schultz teaming up on them. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Well, Keith, now that Wiener might be getting back into the mayor election, I mean, now you're going to have a lot of good jokes to punt on the left.
Yeah, next week ought to be really interesting. So bring yourself in here, Keith. We're going to let you go. We're going to wind things up and wrap it up. Thanks for calling in. And I want to,
guys, thank you.
All right, my friend.
Thank you. And Billy, good to have you back, brother. We appreciate it. God bless. I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, but thanks for calling in. Hey, everybody, listen to the Keith Hanson Show with Smitty every Saturday at 10 a.m. I want to thank Joe Raffini for being on here. He's a terrific guest.
Smart.
And real smart, intelligent guy. Again, our sponsors, On-Site Tactical, Doggone Barbecue Sauce, which we know all the some of the proceeds go to animal shelters and rescue, which is great. And, of course, Mickelson's Pastries, which I rapped about. And if they want to use that, they're going to have to pay me some credentials.
Some royalties on the back end.
A little something on the back end. Maybe some donuts, you know.
You better be sure.
But listen next week, and thanks for calling, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good one.